Alright, today I'm going to give you guys a detailed look at this MMM Toys piece. This is the Batcycle from the from the upcoming Flash movie. Now, this is basically a solid piece. I think most likely is polystone. Whatever this material is, it is a one. Well, it's not one solid piece. It's a combination of a few solid pieces attached together. There are no moving parts. None of the wheels work. There's no lights. Nothing. It's just a piece of material. It's basically a paperweight for your display. You could display it with your Batman, but only certain Batman will be able to fit on this bike, and I'll show you guys which ones will and which ones will not. And from the looks of it, from the top, I believe the bike is too wide. To me, it looks a little bit wide. I looked over the trailer and also some of those behind the scene footage that people shot while they were filming the bike scene. I noticed the bike seems to be quite thick. This version, the toy version, this piece here is quite thicker than the actual piece. And here's a front view of it. You can see the two wheels. I think the headlights should be inside here if there were any, but this piece does not. And I can show you guys the whole piece of this bike. It's nicely painted. I do like the paint job of it, and they did some weathering on it. It looks quite nice actually. Look at that, the silver, the brushed silver. That looks quite nice on the bike. And then the handles, you gotta be super careful with these because these are hard material. So if you accidentally knock it, you will end up breaking it. And here's the other side of the bike. Also, as far as accuracy, it is off. There are, I looked over the video, there are some pieces that are off. Here, this whole panel is off. Because I think towards the front here there should be a little more of a angle, a slant there, and then back here it's completely different. This portion, I think there are a couple of holes supposed to be there, or some indentations are supposed to be there, which are not. And then I think this is a little too wide, so the number of figures, the number of figures you could actually get on this bike, if you try to get a specific Batman onto this bike, you have to really make sure that they can spread the legs pretty wide apart, otherwise you won't be able to fit it onto this bike here. And here's a look at the rear. The rear tire is too wide. Again, this whole bike is just too wide, and it reminds me of the Tron Legacy bike. And there are foot pedals. You gotta be careful with these as well, because they will break if you aren't careful. It's just a hard knock, and they will break. Here's the rest of the bike, and I think if there are lights, it should be back here. That little slit there should be the backlight, the tail lights. And here's the other side of the bike. You can see it is nice. The design of it is nice, but again, it's just a little too wide. And if you're wondering how the pieces are attached, you could kind of even see it if you look at it closely. You can see the seat runs all the way back here, and then this is a separate piece that's not really attached to it. You can see a little bit of a gap there. So that piece, that section, and then down here I think it slits all the way down as well. And then the tire, I believe, is attached to this piece, and this is slot into this piece here. So most likely it's a construction of at least 4 pieces. So we have one right here, this would be one, and then this chunk would be one, and then the front tires would be the 4th. I'll say, yeah, if I'm just generalizing it. And here's the bottom of the bike. You do put a lot of pressure onto this back panel right here, but this back section, because it is just you are putting weight on these 3 spots there. So I would imagine this section, well, I think it's the construction of it, it's strong enough where it won't break or bend. But if you just want to be really careful with it, I would put something underneath here to support the bike up instead of using these tires to support the bike itself. Oh, and this thing weighs about 3 pounds 2 ounces or so. Alright, as far as the measurement of this bike, if you're counting tire to tire, it's about 10.5 inches in length, and then in height it's about 4 inches, well 3.75 inches or so. And then the width, if I'm just counting the widest portion of it, which is the bottom, and that would be about 4 inches wide. So this, from this to this, is about 4 inches wide. But if you're just counting this front section, then it's about 3 inches. And if you're counting the seat itself, it's about 1.5 inches. If you're counting the foot section, how far you could spread the leg, how far your figure has to spread the legs apart, then we are talking about almost, well, 2.75 inches apart. If your figure cannot spread his legs 2.75 inches apart, then you're not going to be able to get this guy to ride the Batcycle. Alright, so for this video I'll have 3 figures, 3 different brands ride this bike. We have SHF over here, Mezco, and then Mafex. So these 3 I'll try SHF first. Alright, again for SHF, I would need to spread his legs at least almost 4 inches apart for him to ride it. From the looks of it, I don't think he's able to, because how small he looks. He's much smaller than other figures. So let's see if he could ride it and for him to look good riding it. Okay. You know what? I should do these off camera and then just show you the result. Alright, so here I have SHF Batman riding the bike, and if you're looking at this in person, you would think a child is riding his dad's bike, because he looks way too skinny, and feet, well, they do reach they somewhat reach the pedal, not yet. On the side, same thing, not yet, but yeah, with him having a cloth cape, it helps. Anything with a hard cape might not help at all. And you can see the handlebars are just really wide, so he's gonna almost be like flat down in order to hold those handlebars. And yeah, this figure does not fit this bike well at all. He looks way too small for it. Alright, and here's what it looks like for the Mafex Batman to ride the bike, and it's a little better. The feet are long enough where he could somewhat reach the pedal. I mean, it's just because of this portion down here. This portion is just a little too thick for his legs to tucked in a little bit better. If they trim this section a little bit more, then his feet will be further in. Then he should have a better experience of riding this bike here. Now on this side, you can see Batman with the neck articulation. He does look like he's looking towards the front, so that's good. And arms does reach all the way to the handlebars, and it is wide enough, so Mafex would be able to fit it. Would be able to fit this bike, but it's just not perfect enough. Here you can see the feet are definitely, the legs are definitely long enough for this bike here, but it's still not perfect. Alright, here's the Mezco one, and I think by far the best fit for this bike is the Mezco Batman. For the most part, he looks decent enough. You can see the arms does reach the handlebar. The leg can reach the foot pedal, but again, this portion, that inner portion, is just a little thick. If it was a little thinner, then his legs would be able to tug in a little bit more. From the front, let's see, if you look at those thighs, they are a little bit weird, the way they're spread apart, because of how wide that seat is. And over here on this side, he looks decent enough. And at the end of this video, I will put up some photos of this Batman riding the bike. But if you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen pretty much all those photos already. But here he is. Yeah, if you have the Mezco Batman, the Justice League Batman, or if you have other Batmans from Mezco, you should be able to get him to ride this bike with a pretty decent looking. So here's one last look of Batman riding the Batcycle. Show you the bike again, and I will remove Batman just so you guys could get a better look at the bike again. One last look before I close out this video. So here it is once again. Again, the seat is just too wide. And I am pretty sure Hot Toys would eventually make this bike. I would think they would. I would think so. Yeah, I would think so. And maybe even McFarlane Toys, since they're making the figures, and they made bikes for other Batman figures. So I don't see why they wouldn't make this one as well. It would be nice if the well, they probably wouldn't. The McFarlane probably wouldn't do a light up feature for the bike, but I think if Hot Toys end up making it, they'll definitely do light up features for the bike, and hopefully they will, because I do like this bike, and I don't mind having a Affleck Batman riding this bike too. It does look quite nice, and as long as they make this bike a little narrow. Is that the word, narrower? Make this bike a little more narrow, then I think Batman would fit in quite nicely. But right now, yeah, he is too wide. I mean, the bike is just way too wide for any Batman figures to ride it. And McFarlane will not fit because they're just too big for the bike. It's gonna look silly having a McFarlane figure riding this bike. And I picked this up at, let's see, Giant Toys. Is it Giant Toys? Yeah, I think it's gianttoys.com. It's $99 ship, and I don't think it's worth it. It doesn't do anything. I would have been happy if they made it out of plastic, to be honest. Made it out of plastic with a few moving parts and maybe some lights. That would have been totally worth it for me. Right now, it's just a solid piece of paperweight, and I mean, detailing is fine, and what am I going to do with it? Most likely it's just going to be a display piece anyway, so I'm okay with it, but to me it feels not worth $100. But I mean, if you factor in the design and the paint job and everything, it's decent enough, I guess. But yeah, to me, when I first looked at it, I was thinking that this would move, the tires would move, at least the back tire would move, the front tires would move, and maybe even these tires would shift, like in the trailer. That would have been amazing. Maybe some lights, that would have been totally worth the $99. But right now, to me, no, I don't think so. Maybe a $60 max piece, or yeah, $65-$70 at most. That's how much I would be willing to pay this. But at $100, yeah, not that worth it. But there you go. There's the Batcycle from the new Flash film that's coming out. And thanks for watching. And if you're wondering how each of the Batman look standing next to the Batcycle, here it is. Here's the first Batman. Now he's standing somewhat behind it. And here's the SHF Batman standing next to it. And now behind it, here's the Mezco Batman standing next to it. Now standing behind it.